At 69, he won 3 first prizes in figure skating against competitors all under 30. He still skates at Radio City and at the various private skating clubs. For many years he was an ardent and skilled horseman. Desiring to be tops, he obtained the world's best instructors and became so skilled in the art that he trained black stallions for high school, such as one sees at the circus. 7 to 9 every morning found him in the ring at Derlin's Riding Academy, working with tremendous enthusiasm upon one or more of the famous Arabian stallions which were part of the 27 Arabian horses which he kept at Oyster Bay for years to cross-breed with Henry Clay stock with the intent of producing an American type equal to or better than the famous Orloff Russian type. 4 o'clock to 6 every day found him riding black Arabian stallions in Central Park. Always black stallions. After setting such a standard, he would never ride an inferior horse. He became possessor of these horses through the habit of exchanging horses while riding with President Theodore Roosevelt. The owner of the Huntington stud in Oyster Bay was only too glad to let the president and his artist friend exercise his wonderful stallions. The artist became enamored of one named Black Diamond and another pure bay of the Anaza tribe of Arabia called Khalid. He offered Mr. Huntington $5,000 for either one, but the breeder said he would sell all or none. He bought them all at $50,000. An hour later the president was so concerned at what he called Mr. Russell's impetuosity that he wanted to go to Mr. Huntington personally and ask for a return of the $10,000 deposit check and cancel the deal. "What in heaven's name," said the president, "will you do with them? Where will you keep them? You will have to buy oaks by the carload, and they will eventually break you as they did Mr. Huntington." "I bought the place also, house and 40 acres. I have also arranged to keep all his help, and I will place a fine man whom I know in charge. It won't take much of my time, and will interest me immensely," was Mr. Russell's reply. Years later he disposed of the horses for as high as $15,000 for one horse, and the property value increased so greatly that his losses were practically voided by his gains. In telling me of it, he said, "That was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I wouldn't have missed it for a million." He carried out this principle even in his distasteful task. "There should be no distasteful task in one's life," he said. "If you just hate to do a thing, that hatred for it develops body-destructive toxins, and you become fatigued very soon. You must love anything you must do. Do it not only cheerfully, but lovingly, in the very best way you know how. That love of the work, which you must do anyhow, will vitalize your body and keep you from fatigue." At his splendid country home he often had to mow the lawns himself, a task which he disliked. In order to make it interesting, he developed patterns and designs in the grass as he cut it, then gradually eliminated the patterns with regret that the game had to come to an end. That was his method of transforming work into play. In his written philosophy are these words: "A menial task which must be mine, that shall I glorify and make an art of it." "What about defeat? Have you ever failed in anything?" I asked. "Oh, gracious, yes," he replied. I have had my share of what one calls defeat, and in plenty. I have made and lost fortunes, and seen great plans of mine topple through my own errors of judgment, or through other causes. In the panic of 1907, I lost $300,000. In the Miami fiasco, I lost $10,000 a month retainer on architectural contracts for designing over $80 million worth of mass structures for Miami Beach, Coral Gables, Coconut Grove, and other Florida resorts. 2 of these were complete civic centers, and one of these included 7 miles of beach near Jacksonville. But I do not recognize these as defeats. They are but interesting experiences of life. They are valuable stepping stones to success. Defeat is a condition which one must accept in order to give it reality. I refuse to give it reality by accepting it. In my philosophy I have written these words: defeat I shall not know, it shall not touch me. I will meet it with true thinking. Resisting it will be my strengthening. But if, perchance, the day will give me the bitter cup, it will sweeten in the drinking. One of the most heart-rending so-called defeats I've ever experienced was in my youth. At 28 years of age, I had painted an extremely ambitious allegory entitled The Might of the Ages, to symbolize the power of thought in the making of civilization. I had visioned great things arising from its exhibition at the National Academy. Much to my consternation, the Academy rejected it, whereupon the plenipotentiaries of America, the plenipotentiaries of the King of Italy accidentally saw it as my dealers and invited it, exempt from jury, as a representative American picture of the Turin International Exposition of Art to be held at the 1900 commemoration of the 20th century. This aroused nationwide criticism of the National Academy for not encouraging its own. The picture was exhibited in other European cities and gave me several honorable mentions, a membership to the Spanish Academy of Arts and Letters, a decoration, one of those scarlet ribbon things which I have lost long ago, and the pleasure of a personal visit from King Albert of Belgium to my studio in New York to again see that picture. But it was rejected by the American Academies. How can one call that a defeat? There is no such a thing. What is the great passion of your life? I asked. Beauty, he replied without hesitation. Beauty and worthiness to live life as a masterful interpreter of the light. What do you mean by beauty? I asked. Perfection of rhythm, balanced perfection of rhythm. Everything in nature is expressed by rhythmic waves of light. Every thought and action is a light wave of thought and action. If one interprets the God within one, one's thoughts and actions must be balanced rhythmic waves. Ugliness, fears, failures, and diseases arise from unbalanced thoughts and actions. Therefore, think beauty always if one desires vitality of body and happiness. In his life philosophy, this principle is stated as follows: I will see beauty and goodness in all things. From all that is unlovely shall my vision be immune. Mr. Russell is now on the eve of his last transitional epoch in which he will major in science and philosophy, but will never quite give up either painting, music, or sculpture. He pioneered in foreseeing two of the greatest discoveries of modern time: the isotopes of hydrogen, which led to the discovery of heavy water, and the two new elements used in the atomic bomb. He announced the complexity of hydrogen to a body of distinguished scientists years before the truth of his statement was verified. But it is the atomic bomb that will prove to be the earth-shaking, epoch-making discovery of the future. The two newly discovered elements which formed the basis of the atomic bomb, called neptunium and plutonium, were published in his charts of the elements in 1926. He named them uridium and urim. He also predicted that if ever discovered, the pressures of this planet would not be sufficient to hold them together. It is almost humorous to speak of guarding the secret, locking it up in American and British archives, was his comment. Knowledge cannot be locked up. It is cosmic and wide open to every thinker, and limited only to his knowledge. And there is enough new knowledge right in this country today to make this present value of atomic secrecy worthless in a very few years. When asked to give some clue as to the new knowledge which could harness the new discovery for common usage, he stated that we must reverse all electrochemical practice by ceasing to rely upon substance primarily and electricity secondarily.